Okay, welcome to my installment of integers. Today I want to talk about what integers are. Now, integers, think of whole numbers, okay? And they can be negative. So they are negative and positive and also zero. So integers would be something like -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3, and so on. And same thing with -4 and so forth. So really, you may hear the term negative infinity and positive infinity. This would be whole numbers that go either way, being negative and positive. Now, some of us struggle with integers as far as adding and subtracting. So I'm going to clarify this a little bit. We do have 4 plus 5. Now I know a lot of us in here are going to go ahead and tell me that the answer is 9. But why isn't 9? Well, think about this. I want you to think about two different scenarios. One, think about money. If you had $4 and then you got $5, then that would be the total of $9. Another way to look at this is think about this. The 4 is positive, and you're adding another positive number, which is 5. So take a look at this. When you have two of the same sign, the sign is positive and it's 9. But in math, we do not put this positive sign. Now, if it was negative, we would keep the negative sign. So this is also why the answer is 9. But now let's throw in adding a -5. So that means, let's think about money-wise, for example. I've got $4 and I'm adding, which means that means I'm taking away $5. Or think about this. You can think about this. Think about if you owed me $5, you paid me back, that means adding 4 because 4 is positive. How much do you still owe me? Well, you still owe me $1. That's why it's -1. Now, another way I like teaching this too is, I'll put this on here on the side. Since the 4 is positive and you're adding a negative, that means since the signs are different, subtract it. Just subtract 5 minus 4. And since 5 is bigger, that means it's negative. Think of it that way as well. Okay, let's try this one. Now, at any point of this video, you can always pause it, always go back to see if you are unclear on something. Now, let's take a look at this. So if I had 6 and I take away 8, or I'm adding a -8, think about this. That means you have -8, you're adding 6. So that means you are actually, if you owe me $8 and you pay me back 6, that means you have -2, or you owe me $2. My little trick over here too is since the 6 is positive and the 8 is negative, then what you would do is just subtract them and then put the negative sign, which was with the greater number 8, your answer is -2. Seven minus 5. Now, most of us in here understands this, but let's take a look at this. 7 is positive, and we're subtracting 5. Okay? So since, if you want to do my little hint in blue, that means you just subtract them. 7 minus 5 is 2. And since the 7 is positive, that means the 2 is positive. However, in math, you do not have to put a positive in two, with the 2, so the answer is just a 2. Now, here is one that I have seen that causes us problems. But remember, 8 is positive. So think about this. If you owe me $17 and you pay me back 8, then if you subtract this, you still owe me $9. You can also do what I told you earlier, is you can take the 17, subtract the 8 to give me 9, and since 17 had that minus, that means it's going to be a -9 as well. Okay, at this point you could pause this and see what you can come up with. But I don't know how many times I will see, maybe this is a -11, maybe this is a +11, maybe this is a 3 or a -3. I get these results all the time. But remember, think of money. If you have $7 and you treat that -4 as you're subtracting 4, you owe me 4, then that means you have 3. Let's try this one. Now I've got 4, +4, and I've also got a -8. So since that 8 is bigger, I'm going to say, okay, you owe me 8, you pay me back 4, you still owe me money? Well, yes, you do. How much you owe me? You owe me 4. So when you owe me, it will be negative. My other way is just to say 8 minus 4 is 4, and since 8 had that negative sign and it's larger, that's what your answer would be, -4. That's an easy way to check your answers. Now on this next one, a -9 plus a -9, okay, this is where I have all the different answers. I may have -18, +18, and then I have 0. So what answer is it? Well, think about this. If you're -9 plus another -9, so that means if you owe me 9 and owe me 9. Now watch this. If you owe me both, on both, that means you owe me a total of -18. Take a look at the sign. Both of them are negative, your sign's negative. If I go all the way back up to the top at my first example, remember right here, my 4 and 5 are both positive, so it means that my answer is a +9. All the signs right here, a +4 and a +5, you can just drop down the signs since they both have similar signs, or the same signs, and that's why my answer was a +9. Same thing with here. Both are negative, that means your answer is negative. Just add up the 9s. 9 plus 9 is 18, so it's -18. The same thing with this. I've got a -7, then you owe me another 6. Now think about this for a second. If you owe me 7, owe me 6, you owe me, so it's still going to be negative because both sides are the same. It's going to be 13. Or you could say drop down the sign because both signs are negative and just add up the number. 7 plus 16 is 13. And finally, I've got a -8 minus a 7. So on this one, I have a lot of different varieties as well. I've seen on this one, -1, +1, -15, and then sometimes I see two negatives make a +15. The only time that two negatives make a positive is when you multiply or divide. So in this case, we're going to treat this as, you could treat this as -8 plus a -7 because we're combining them. So that means if you owe me 8 and owe me 7, you owe me a total of 15. Now, look at my second installment of integers because I'm going to show you how to do this on a number line. Thank you for listening.